Namaste Honorable. Welcome back to another English online session. In the previous class, I have just explained you the first part or the first few passages of the chapter in the Kingdom of Fools. You already knew the rules they have established and a particular incident that was narrated here. And a thief tried to snatch something or steal something from a merchant's house. By the time the wall fell on him, he died. His brother brought that case in front of the king, and the king was just called the merchant. Initially, the king accused the merchant for the crime. Then, a turn of event like the merchant accused that the bricklayer or the person who built the wall didn't do it properly. That's how this fell on this thief and he died. So the bricklayer was summoned in front of the king. He was investigated, and finally the bricklayer said, a woman, a dancing girl, she was just going here and there by the time, so that it distracted him. That's why he just built a weak wall. Then that woman also brought in front of the king. The woman said she was asked to come a dozen times by the goldsmith. She just had given some gold to make jewels, but this lazy fellow asked her to come many times. That's how she just walked here and there, that it distracted this uh, bricklayer. So this case is the accusation passing from one person to another person. Now the king decided to call the goldsmith to investigate. Shall we continue? Poor thing, she is absolutely right, thought the king, weighing the evidence. We have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith, wherever he is hiding, at once. The king's bailiffs searched for the goldsmith who was hiding in a corner of his shop. So finally, the king said that we have found the culprit, the real person, the real criminal. So he asked his servants, his soldiers, to find the goldsmith and bring him in front of him. Wherever he hide, just bring him here. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. When the goldsmith came there, he also had something to say. My lord, he said, I am a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. So his side was that a rich merchant given some gold to make jewels, and there was a wedding coming in their family. That's how this poor woman's work is postponed. He kept aside because these rich men they won't wait. So for their work he kept aside this woman's work. Always he just said excuses to this woman. Who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which has now fallen on an innocent man and killed him? So the king was just asking, who was the rich man who just prevent you from your duty or prevent you from making jewels? Who was that man? Just tell me that. Can you name him? The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. So the goldsmith immediately said the name of that merchant, and this is the same house, the owner of the house, the father of the merchant initially accused. That was the merchant who has given jewels to this goldsmith to make jewelry. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead, I am innocent." So again the merchant was brought in front of the king. This time he was crying. He said, "It was not me, that my father who ordered these jewels. I am innocent, don't punish me," like he was crying. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. "It's true, your father is the true murderer, he is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime." So the king was saying, "Okay, you didn't commit the mistake, but your father done the mistake. As you have inherited everything from him, his wealth, everything. The same way you are inheriting his sins." And he was expressing his opinion. For the first time, when the king saw this man, he knew that he is the root of all these criminal activities. "You must die." And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. So a stake where these people behead, okay, this execution done using a stake. The king ordered to prepare a new one for this merchant. They are going to execute this merchant. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense, the king to read about it. So everything prepared, the stake was ready, but the minister said he is too thin. Okay, he can just remove his head. Okay, it cannot be stuck in the stake, so he can easily remove his head, put his head outside. So it's a problem. So that bothered the minister and the king also. So they have to think some solution for that. "What shall we do?" he said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. So they decided to find a man instead of this merchant, find a man fat enough to fit in this stake and execute him. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would fit the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. So now they just went everywhere and found this disciple who just had everything, banana, all those food items available there, and he just fattened. So these servants find him, he is the suitable person for that. "What have I done wrong? I am innocent. I am a sannyasi," he cried. "That may be true, but it's the loyal decree that we should find a man fat enough to fit the stake." So the sannyasi said, the disciple said, "I haven't done anything. Why you are taking to the court?" So he said, "Okay, you are a sannyasi, you haven't done anything, but we have the king's order, so we have to take you to the court." They said and carried him to the place of execution. He remembered his wise guru's words, "This is a city of fools. You don't know what they will do next." They just took him for the execution place. By the time he remembered the valuable words of his guru. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. So, this guru has the ability to see the uh, future or predict what will happen in the future. So, somehow he just came to know about all these things. The disciple also praying for the help. He arrived at once to save his disciple who had got himself into such a scrap through love of food. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. So immediately the Guru arrived there and he understood this disciple what kind of a trap he got in because the love for food, and he just whispered something in his ears, told something in a low voice to the disciple. Then he went to the king and addressed him, O wisest of kings, who is greater, the Guru or the disciple? Of course, the Guru, no doubt about it. What do you ask? Then put me to the stake first, put my disciple to death after me. When the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor. So he asked a question to the king, who is greater, the disciple or Guru? Immediately the king answered, the Guru. Why do you ask that? Then the Guru said, just put me first in the stake. Then you can put my disciple in the stake. So something the Guru whispered in the ears of this disciple, he understood and he is acting accordingly. Me first, you brought me here first, put me to death first, not him. So this disciple, he started shouting. He said, put me first, not my Guru, put me first to death. The Guru and the disciple now got into a fight about who should go first. The king was puzzled by this behavior. He asked Guru, why do you want to die? We chose him because we needed a fat man for the stake. You shouldn't ask me such questions. Put me to death first, replied the Guru. So out of curiosity, the king asked, why do you want to die? We brought this man because he fit in this particular stake. That's why we brought here. Why you want to die? Why you are asking to put you first? So the Guru replied that you shouldn't ask such question to me. Just put me death first. Put me in the stake first. Why? There is some mystery here. As a wise man, you must make me understand. Will you promise to put me to death if I tell you? Asked the Guru. The king gave him his solemn word. So the king doubted that some mystery is there. The Guru is a wisest man. He wouldn't say without any reason. So the Guru asked a promise from the king. If I tell you the mystery, will you put me to death first? The king promised, gave his word. The Guru took him aside out of the servant's earshot and whispered to him, do you know why we want to die right now? The two of us? We have been all over the world, but we have never found a city like this or a king like you. That stake is the stake of the God of justice. It's new, it has never had a criminal on it. Whoever dies on it first will be reborn as the king of this country. So the mystery is nothing but this is a new stake and no criminal was put to death using this. And this is a nice country, a beautiful city. They have never seen a beautiful city like this or a king like this. And if they die here in this stake, they just reborn. So they wanted to reborn in this city. Whoever dies on it first will reborn as the king of the country. So the first person die in this stake, he reborn and reborn as the king of this country. And whoever goes next will be the future minister of this country. We are sick of our aesthetic life. It would be nice to enjoy ourselves as king and minister for a while. Now keep your word, my lord, and put us to death. Me first, remember. So they are sick of this sage life, not enjoying all the materialistic or pleasurable things. So they have decided to live like a king and a minister. The second person die in that state become a minister. So the guru and this disciple wanted to be the king and minister of this country. So this is why they have just fighting or shouting each other to die first. The first person who die in this take become the king. And finally he was saying that, remember your word, now put me to death. The king was now thrown into deep thought. He didn't want to lose the kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He needed time, so he ordered the execution postponed to the next day and talked in secret with his minister. This made him the king to think. He never wanted to lose his kingdom to someone else. So he just postponed the execution and put the guru and disciple in jail, and he just met his minister secretly. It's not right for us to give over the kingdom to others in next life. Let's go on the stake ourselves, and we will be reborn as king and minister again. Holy men do not tell lies, he said, and the minister agreed. So he told the executioners. So the king and minister agreed that they didn't ready to lose the kingdom in the next life also. So they decided to go to the stake first, and they informed something to the executioners. We will send the criminals tonight. When the first man comes to you, put him to death first, then do the same to the second man. Those are my orders. Don't make any mistake. So simply they have given orders to the executioners. We will send the criminals tonight. The first person who come to you, just put him to death first in the stake. Then do the same to the second man. Those are my orders. Don't make any mistake. That night, the king and his ministers went secretly to the prison, released the guru and the disciple, disguised themselves as the two, and as arranged beforehand with loyal servants, were taken to the stake and promptly executed. So they went to the prison and released the guru and disciple, and they disguised as guru and disciple. As everything planned, they went to the execution place and they were executed. The king and minister were executed. When the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister. The city was in confusion. So when these bodies were taken to thrown to the vultures and crows, everyone saw that it is not the guru, it is not the disciple. The king and minister were dead. All night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. The people were in a great confusion. They just mourned, lamented on the death of their king and minister, and they were discussing about the future of this kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the guru and the disciple and caught up with them as they were preparing to leave town unnoticed. We people need a king and a minister, said someone. Others agreed. They begged the guru and the disciple to be their king and their minister. So this disciple and guru, they are trying to escape from the place. Some people noticed them. They requested the guru and the disciple. The guru can be the king and the disciple can be the minister of this country. It didn't take many arguments to persuade the disciple, but it took longer to persuade the guru. So somehow, very easily they have persuaded, convinced the disciple, and after a long discussion, they have convinced the guru also to take charge as the king and the minister of the country. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly minister, on the condition that they could change all the old laws. So under the condition of changing all the laws, they just took charge as the minister and the king. From then on, night would again be night and the day would be again day, and you could get nothing for a dudu. It became like any other place. So they have changed the laws existed. Now night all the people can rest, they can do their work. And a dudu, that amount, you cannot buy anything using that small amount, that also changed. So this story tells us, if an administrator is a fool, what happened to the country? The judgment, everything would go wrong. And here a wise guru corrected everything and brought back the normal life. Hope you enjoyed the story. See you with another story. Till then, take care. Bye.